folks, the Filipina P here. And you probably think I'm gonna sing the praises of Filipinas in this video, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave all the romance and mushy stuff behind and let the truth bombs rain down from the heavens by cutting right to the very core of the matter: value. Whether we like it or not, everything's about perceived value, whether it's real estate, cars, or McDonald's Happy Meal. You might not like to think of it this way, but relationships are no different. People enter into them because they fulfill each other's needs by providing something the other person values. And today, I'm gonna explain exactly why, when compared to a Western relationship, a Filipina is simply a better deal. Before I get going, I'd like to ask one little thing of you folks. If you enjoy my content and want to help my channel grow, how about hitting that thumbs up button right below the screen and that subscribe button and bell icon too. Just go ahead and do it while I'm talking. That way we can stay in touch and my new videos will show up on your list of good stuff to watch. Then it becomes my job to keep you interested. So why is having a relationship with a Filipina a better deal? Well, let's look at the way relationships work. Both parties provide things that the other person wants or needs. Maybe it's validation. Maybe it's physical contact. Maybe it's a roof over your head. While everyone's needs are different, most male-female relationships follow a similar formula. A man values companionship and access to sex, and a woman values companionship and the security of resources. You can spin it any way you want to, but this is just a basic truth. It's neither good nor bad. But why is it like that? Because when something is overly abundant, it loses value. If every grain of sand on the beach became a diamond, then diamonds would quickly take the place of the gravel used to pave your driveway. They would become almost worthless. For a woman, sex is like sand. It's so available that its value decreases. We know we can get it anywhere, anytime, and although we enjoy it too, it's not something we're gonna make life decisions based around because it's so easy to get. Men need money and financial security just like women do, but they usually have access to enough of it, especially if they're from the West. So its importance isn't as great. That's why most men don't go looking for a woman with money. You don't need to. The place where men's and women's needs overlap is in the middle, with what I labeled companionship. It's about how you make each other feel wanted, happy, and attached. How you have each other's backs in tough times and make each other laugh in the good times. It's how you enjoy spending time together and just being in each other's presence. It's the glue of the relationship. This is the part that can last a lifetime, no matter who you are or where you're from. This formula of wants and needs is true of almost all relationships. So now let's look at the life cycle of the typical, modern, Western relationship and see how that works out for you guys. A woman in her late teens to early 20s is in the flower of her youth and typically the most attractive and fertile. If she's smart, she'll spend those years not just having fun, but securing a quality partner to journey through life with. But I'm afraid that Western women have lost their way in their quest to have it all. They've been sold a lie and told that they don't need a man or his companionship, and that they should empower themselves so they can lead a life of wish fulfillment. Put the kids on hold and party, which is really easy to do when you're holding all the cards, and men are climbing over each other's backs to get to you. And what does that attitude do to the perceived value of a man? It diminishes it, because you've been convinced that men are of little value and so easy to get. But by the time they realize the truth, they're scrambling to find a chair before the music stops. And even if they find a good man who wants them, they somehow feel they had to settle by settling down. Once married, maybe with a few kids, the relationship might finally be in equilibrium. The woman is happy to be with a man that provides for the family, makes her feel safe, and they enjoy each other's company for a few years. But later on, when a woman's sexual desire winds down and she's just not as into it anymore, the older guys who've been married know what I mean. A Western woman whose life was permeated with feminist overtones might wake up one morning, see her dirty socks on the bed again, and decide that she really doesn't need or want a man anymore. She's accumulated enough wealth, either yours or what she's earned herself, and the quality of your companionship just isn't enough to keep her happy. And guess what? In her eyes, your perceived value decreases again. And if you think that a verbal promise of "till death do us part" and a piece of paper will save you, good luck with that. You lose more than half of your stuff and end up older and alone, with nothing but the realization that the flower of your youth was spent chasing something that was never really yours in the first place. Like some of you guys say, she was never yours. It was just your turn. You still have plenty of value, but not so much to the women of the West. But now for the good news. Take the same life cycle of a relationship and map it onto the reality here in this country. From the beginning, Filipinas instinctively know that our youth is fleeting. We have no misconceptions about that. And we're all about finding a good man while we can, amidst heavy competition. All Filipinas know that every day, a new crop of thousands of eager young women have their 18th birthday and join the hunt for a man to spend their lives with. And there just aren't enough good men to go around in my country. Add to this situation the fact that Filipinos aren't as sensitive to the issue of age. We really can find older men attractive, and we don't just pair with them out of desperation. That's something a lot of you Western guys just don't believe, don't trust, and don't understand because it's so alien to you. But I assure you, it's a real thing here, just as it was in your country not so long ago. According to Quora.com, Western marriages at the turn of the 20th century were recommended to have a 10-year age gap for a healthy relationship. Why? Because an older man had a couple years to get a head start on his career and his wealth accumulation, and a younger woman had a few extra years of youth and beauty in the tank. Things were more naturally in sync. So why is it so hard for you to believe that this type of May-December mindset still exists here? Men and women who marry at the same age are often evolutionarily mismatched. The life cycle of the relationship is out of sync, and we end up wanting different things at different times. But if you have a gap of a decade or even two, things fall back into alignment for both of you. That doesn't happen much anymore in the West, where the average age gap is only 2 to 3 years. But that's a fairly recent change in your culture. And yet to listen to some of you, you think it's always been that way. At any disparity in ages must be the result of greedy, desperate women and dirty old men. Well, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So how's your system working out for you in the West? At the rate you're going, in a few more decades, the women will be older than the men when you marry, if marriage is even still a thing. I guess you'll be fine with marrying older women, but you need to understand that it's not the natural way of things. And in my humble opinion, it won't work because your needs aren't synchronized. So what about the glue I mentioned that holds a relationship together? Companionship. How does that work between a Westerner and a Filipina? Well, if you think that older Western men and younger Filipinas can't fulfill each other's needs for companionship and a desire to share each other's lives, you just don't get it. Filipinas are all about companionship. We don't spend the day taking tennis lessons and going to afternoon brunches with the girls. We're happy just being with you, day in, day out. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you need? On the flip side, you Westerners often make great companions too. You know about the world. You're fascinating to talk to. And you challenge us in ways that local life never has and never could. Filipinas often see younger men as immature players, as more of a flight risk, and will gladly trade a few extra inches of waistline for a more mature man, not just for his wallet, but for his loyalty. Having a man that's serious about you and will stick around you as your companion is another form of security, and it has way more value here. In the West, government support programs and employment opportunities have replaced you and one of the main things you offered women, so they don't need you for that anymore. Your overall value to them has decreased, but not here. Now, some people with an axe to grind try to make relationships between foreigners and Filipinas sound unhealthy at best and downright depraved at worst. How often have you heard someone say, expats are just perverted old men who want to do it with young women? And how often have you heard people say, Filipinas are only after a man's money? Money, money, money. Well, there's some truth to both those extreme statements. But instead of looking at it in a cynical or sinister way, why not say, Western men and Filipinas each have something the other really values? What's so different about that from any relationship, which is all about fulfilling each other's needs when it comes to sex, security, and companionship? It just sounds to me like we're a really good match. So what? Isn't that a good thing? And that's the benefit of being with a younger Filipina, because her years of youth and beauty will be much more in sync with your life cycle. You won't face the problem of a woman's declining sexuality until you're deep into your golden years. And it's perfect for her because you can provide her the stability and security that's so rare here. So where's the problem? I fail to see one. Now, some of you guys have said, look, I don't want a younger woman. What could we possibly have to talk about? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, and I'm certainly not knocking older Filipinas, but I have to drop a little truth bomb on this one too. In the West, the difference between a 30-year-old woman and a 50-year-old woman can be staggering in terms of knowledge, wisdom, and maturity. But here in the Philippines, especially in the provinces, not so much. Our lives are often filled with repetition and manual labor. We don't have the same opportunities to expand our minds the way you do in the West, and decades can pass without much changing in our lives. Honestly, aside from some emotional maturity, there's often not a lot of difference between women of various ages here. If you think that finding an older Filipina means that you're gonna sit on the porch in the evening and discuss Dostoevsky, I have bad news for you. In fact, there's a good chance that a younger Filipina will make a better conversation partner because she could be more fluent in English and have a college degree, where a woman from an older generation might not. But if you're more interested in a Filipina closer to your own age, that's certainly no problem either. And there are plenty of women here that would be overjoyed to make your acquaintance. Now, one word of caution. The system works great as long as you stay here. But if you take her to the West, be careful, because one of her big needs, financial security, will be abundant there. And the only thing keeping you together will be the value of your companionship. Only you can guess how strong that bond is. So guess wisely, my friend. Hypergamy works in mysterious ways, and while it's mostly negated here, it could rear its ugly head in the West. For those of you that ascribe to the rent-don't-buy theory of relationships, the things I've said today are true of cohabitation situations too. But the level of commitment you offer your Filipina can determine the level of commitment you'll get in return. And marriage is still seen as the ultimate form of commitment, especially in this culture. But if you find the right Filipina to bond with, you'll have a relationship that can last just as long as you do. And that's a fact. And I'm not gonna even touch on all the other benefits of having a Filipina partner here, like the cost of living, climate, a traditional lifestyle, those things are all just icing on the cake, and I don't even need to run up the score. Because in my opinion, Filipinas have already won. Well, that's my rant for today. I hope you found it enlightening, entertaining, and yes, even controversial. Join me again in just a few days for another episode of Who Knows What. Till then, folks. Yeah, I love sailing too. I want to see your boat sometime. Oh, you have a Maserati? Oh, cha-cha-cha. Oh, come on, honey. It's only 3 a.m. It's time for body shots. Woo-hoo!
Who's the love of my life? Oh, I know it's you. Who's the love of my life? I know it's you, buddy.
See, I still get attention. If you think about it, I'm kinda like a pirate, helping you navigate the tricky waters of Filipino culture and dating, and telling you how to find your first mate. Are you gonna listen to just anyone, or trust your Captain P to lead you to the booty? And you best be hitting that like button, subscribing to my channel, and hitting that notification bell, or I'll shiver your timbers and cut off your jib. And while we be sailing, why not feast your eyes on me other videos too? And yes, I'm a real pirate. I've got the sunken chest to prove it.